Alrighty, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is 4:30 in the morning and we are working on our map in Roblox. So I have been doing a ton of work. It doesn't seem like it. We still have a ton of work to go. This area will be easy because it's mostly flat. The mountain is done. So I thought, hey, you know what? I'm tired of driving around. Let's give ourselves a helicopter. Maybe it'll be easier to fly. This map is so far is huge. Oh. I hope it's not stuck in the ground. Oh boy. That is loud. The helicopter must be stuck in the ground. Where is it here? Yes, there we go. So yes, I thought, okay, you know what? Let's add a helicopter so I can fly around and see what's going on. There's a little bit of code and a couple of things. We're going to get through that. I haven't added any code at all to the game. Like I say, right now we're going to focus on the map. Once the map is done, then we'll start to add code. We will go through all of that. It's a big map. So we'll have the helicopter in the game probably for like search and rescue. Something like that. I'll figure it out. See how it's rendering. I'll have to speed this thing up a little bit. Yeah, so we have a neat little map. It's foggy. It's just my altitude probably. Now that was a decent little flight just from there to there. And there's still so much more to go. Right, there's the oil rig back over there. So we're going to have commodities, right? There's going to be a mine there. We're going to have commodities. We're going to have lumber and all that sort of stuff, groceries, etc. It's going to be neat. Oh, that was good. I might have to make this pad just a little bit bigger. Oh, maybe we'll do passengers or something like that. It's gonna be neat. We'll definitely incorporate that. Alright, so and then from here it's just down the coast. We're almost ready to start building the city. Almost. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll probably do some missions. I'll be incorporating all these vehicles. They're not all in Blue Trucking City. There's a lot of things that were out of Blue Trucking City that we are going to have in this game. Rail is another thing I want to add eventually here. It's too narrow for the helicopter. I don't know if I can get through there actually. So windy road comes around the coast here. Then we come out into the city. So that's right. That's the render distance. It's probably because I have the graphics settings set down, I think. I wonder if there's a way. I'll check and see if there's a way to change that. Wow, that was a long flight. We only went, we still have to go all the way back. That's incredible. So you see the game, how it loads. One base plate. My slow internet. There we go. Then maybe there'll be a helicopter pad here. This is going to be all beach and ocean. Thought there was a way to get out of here. Oh yeah, there it is. Just this front part here is how you get in and out. I should make the doors work. Put it in a blender and separate the parts and import it back into Roblox. Cool. So it's coming along. Oh, and then this has to have a close. I forgot about that. It's coming along. The city. So yeah, that's pretty much that. That is pretty much that. What are we at? What are we at here? Wow, 10 minutes. That was pretty intense little flight I got going on there. So we flew. Well, we flew around the coast here. So what I can also do is I can make the atmosphere not so thick. But I think with the weather system, it does that. It controls that. So yeah, we flew around here and then we flew around there. So what we have now is the makings, the beginnings of a decent little map. Area. Right, and this is where the mine starts. So I gotta put the road signage out. We're gonna come to here. This will be like marble, quarry, whatever. And then this comes up to, this is gonna be like a mine. I don't know, just an aggregate mine. We'll see. Uranium and some other things. So you'll gather that there, right? The uranium will have to deliver to the power plant, which will be here somewhere. So as you can see, that's kind of the game, right? A to B, that's sort of trucking. But what we want to do is we're gonna add a few elements in there, right? By allowing players to skip the A to B once they have enough money, they can place orders, which will then be filled by other players, which I think would be pretty cool. And that's how you create a player-based economy. And we could do that using the data save. And all that kind of stuff. So those systems we're gonna be designing. Basically, they don't exist, so we'll have to think about how we want it to work, and see if we can create some code to get it to work. Essentially, that's the idea. Yeah. So once again, thank you so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. I hope you're enjoying the content. I know there hasn't been much so far. This map is taking a long time, but as you can see, once it's done, there's so much room on the map. There's going to be so much room on the map for areas. And then of course, when you're working with the render distance, if you spread out the towns and you spread out the missions and you spread out the code, because for example, what I mean is when you go to this area of the map, there's going to be a lot of scripts in here, there's going to be a lot of code. So every time the player goes to this section of the map, they're going to need to load all that code, and it could slow down the player trying to get there. So if you break that up and have some elements here, some elements here, some elements here, what you're doing is you're just you're spreading that out, and it's just making it easier. It's a more enjoyable experience for everybody, rather than, you know, having the and this is where I messed up in a few of my games, is I had all the concentration of scripts and player data and everything in one small little area. So every time you go to that small little area, your computer freezes because it has to download 2 or 3 megabytes of data, scripts and all that kind of stuff, right? So we'll be getting into that. When we start coding. And then that's the other thing about what we're doing here, is that the code doesn't exist. So we have to sit down and we have to plan that. We have to think. And this is why I say it's important to have your map first before you add any code. Unless you have a clear roadmap already about what you are going to do. If you already know the terrain layout and you already know where your missions are going to go, then you can try and do both at the same time, but it's going to be really confusing Second, as far as testing goes, it's going to be such a pain to try and test things that aren't ready. For me, that's the biggest pain, right? Because if I create a mission where I pick something up over here and I deliver it to there and I get a reward, I'm going to need to test that. I can't just assume I've designed the code and now it's going to work. I have to be able to physically test that in the game. So this is where we need the infrastructure, the code, all that stuff, right? It needs to be ready to go. So this is good. I really, really like the way this is working out. We just want to make sure that could probably stay there. So the rest of this is going to clip to the road. And that's pretty much that. We'll be getting into the fun stuff, the invention stuff, where we get to invent code that does stuff for us. So I know Roblox doesn't seem like much, and it really isn't much, but you know, there's a lot of good fundamentals you can pick up from Roblox if you're interested in that. Programming, design. There's a lot of little things that you can pick up and use that you would not necessarily think about, which I think is all right. For example, none of the code for this game exists, and we're going to have to make that code. So we're going to have to do some problem solving, and we're going to have to do some thinking, and we're going to do some planning. Those are all excellent skills. Those are all excellent skills. There we go. Yeah, that you can take with you. You can use in other places. You know, problem solving is always a good skill to have. Always a good skill to have. Right, and so that's part of it. So what is going to make it easier for us when it comes to inventing the code is having the infrastructure in place, or enough of the infrastructure in place that we'll be able to draw ideas from that. So if you've been following along, which I hope a lot of you have been, and you've been seeing a lot of the mini packs that we've been making, right? We have the garbage truck mini pack, we have the construction mini pack. All those mini packs we're going to be adding to this experience. Individually, hopefully they're all going to work. Nice. So yeah, so now what I have to do is slowly come across here, and I have to fill that in all the way across. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll make some of that rock, and I'll make some of it sand, which I think is neat. And that will be, see if I can zoom out enough here. We're about a third, 1/3 terrain complete. Yeah. Ooh, I think that's cool, right? So we got the one little road here that goes, it's a loop. It's one giant loop now. You can drive continuously all the way around, which is what we want. There's a couple of dead-end roads, yes. There's this dead-end road here where we need to make a big turnaround for the player, and there's a dead-end road here where we're gonna have a facility with a big mining facility here. So as you can see, like, the scale that we need for the players is quite large. You see the size of that facility. That's going to be essentially the size of the mining facility and the other facility here. So at first I thought, man, I'm building a lot of terrain. Maybe it's too much. And like, really, it isn't too much. You know, when in the grand scheme of things, with that scale, this is the depot size. So in the city, we'll probably have 2 depots that size. And then the garbage depot is going to be that size, right? It's essentially one base plate. And then the logging area will be here, and then we're going to have a farming area here. And then you'll take stuff from the farm here to be processed, which will be food, which we can deliver to the city. All that stuff. So that's going to be coming up. I'm excited there. But yeah, this took a long time. It doesn't look like much from up here, and then, you know, we can win the game. It's actually quite a bit. Right, and that's what I like, is that we've created this sort of map, which eventually we're going to add stuff, code. It'll be neat. So you can just be driving around, say, in your cement truck, and there's going to be stuff for you to do. You're driving around in your tow truck, there'll be stuff for you to do. Things are going to happen on the map. We'll get into paving. I'm going to try and expand into as many things as I can for the player, just because you can. When it comes to vehicles like this, there's so many, you know, the ideas are endless. It's essentially endless. So in Blue Trucking City, there's like 9 or 10 major industries, and then there's 3 missions each. So there's like 100 or 200 missions in the game. It's crazy. Yeah, so then this is what I created. Let's see, we can go this way, or we'll go this way first. This truck I have to work on, it needs to higher gears, or more gears probably, so it's faster. And then this is what we just did. Alright, so it loads way better. Yeah, you can barely see it on the vehicle, but it'll load a lot better in the vehicle perspective versus you know, but if you have a good internet connection, it won't be anything. And then now what I'll do is I'll put trees and stuff in the way, so it'll sort of block a bit of that, you know, not rendered parts of the map. code. The code is good. I'm excited for the coding. I really am. We're gonna be taking these dials, and we're gonna be using these dials. Oh, I hope I can get. I didn't think about this base plate here. Huh. Whoopsies. Hope I can drive under it. So this is the grass here, right? It'll come down and clip to the road. So it'll be hard to notice that it's all flat there because we'll be kind of sunken down. And then here it's all going to be flat, probably forest. It's going to be cool, right? Because we made the tow truck pack. So we'll add that to the game. So you can do tow random cars that spawn around the map. So, and all that stuff, the server handles. I want to go through that. That's like when it comes to inventing the code and stuff. To explain that, what I've learned is that there's ways, things that you want the player to handle, and there's things that you want the server to handle. The more things the server handles, the better. Because if the player has to control it, you may need to download the scripts or whatever in order, the animations, and it's going to slow the player down. All right, so now we're coming up the other side. See, it's one big loop. That's what I like about the roads. When you're making roads, games for vehicles, you want loops. Big loops, little loops, whatever it is. You want to avoid dead-end roads. Yeah, and then, see, it's hard to see. The atmosphere is so thick. I wonder if we could change that. Let's see. We could say sunny. Hold on a second here. Let's see. There we go. We could say freezing drizzle. I like it. That's cool. Rain, snow. Oh, maybe it doesn't cut through the base plate. Interesting. Interesting. Once I get around here, I don't know how far that base plate goes. There we go. So this is the road that we just flew over. I think it's cool. snowing in June. It's a quasi place where it snows in June. Have to get the steering wheel working on this. Ooh, that was quick. So this is up here. This is where the mine is. Like, this is neat. So yeah, so if you've been following along and you've been checking it out, we've been able to create this cool map so far. Most of this is done now, like I say. Probably be another week or so of map work, I would say, before we're ready to start thinking about coding and that. The big one is planning the cities. We still need a couple of more cities. We need the main city, and then we need like a secondary kind of city, sort of by the logging area, garbage area, more like an outpost, maybe, where, you know, just something on that side of the map. We're gonna need something. We'll need a gas pumps, so, you know, we'll probably need a couple of houses or something. Yeah, there isn't any fuel gauges on this vehicle yet, but there will be. There will be. That's what we're going to be using these dials for, so we're going to go over that. Set the time to what? That evening. Let's see. All right, and then we can say, well, we get thunderstorms. We get heavy snow. Strong thunderstorms. That's cool. That's heavy snow. Oh, look, there's the advisory. Oh my goodness. So then maybe what I'll need to do is, for something like this, right? I'll put snow on the roads. I'll have to try and find a better way of handling that too than I did in Winter Assault. It was really laggy in Winter Assault. So every time you would touch a block, it would just lag the client. Yeah. So it is coming along. I don't want you to think that I'm abandoning this. It is coming along. It is taking a lot. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. And this will take us to the top here where the mine will be. Cool. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're enjoying these little videos. I don't know where we're at in this one. Probably an hour, 30 minutes. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, that's what we have. This is the road we drove up. So, I mean, as you can see already, there's a lot of infrastructure. It took us a while to fly. Took us a while to drive. And that's kind of what you want, right? Get the player in there, playing the game, driving around. So, yeah. So, the next part will be building the city, as you can see here. So, we'll connect this. We'll build the city. We'll drag the train around into here. And then I'll try and fill in this area here. Then we'll get agriculture next. Yeah. And then, like I say, that and that. And then this will basically connect to resources, right? So we get our fuel from here, which will deliver to depots in the city, you know, and we'll do like gas station missions and all that sort of stuff. So as you can see, and that's why we need the infrastructure, because we are going to need to be able to test afterwards that it all works, right? Do the missions work? there's going to be a lot of that. There's still a lot to come up. And then once we confirm things work and things are moving, then I might be able to upload it and we can go alpha. But that's going to be a little bit, I don't know, I'd have to be looking at the calendar to see when we could do that. But that's sort of where you want to be at. You don't want to launch too early, but you want to make sure you have at least the map complete and several missions in the game so the player can earn money and they can sort of see what the game is all about, right? Because if you launch your game and it's full of bugs, you haven't resolved any of your code issues, it's going to frustrate players. They're going to like it, and then it's going to frustrate them, and then you might start to lose your player base, all that stuff, which we don't want. So thank you so much for watching, liking, and subscribing. I really do appreciate it. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye for now.